Hi guys, Bolt here, and today I will be showing off something very interesting, which is the Israeli Nation Pack. This was due to release next Tuesday. It will officially release next Tuesday, but I got a preview key from the very nice community manager over at Eugen Systems. So without further ado, I'm just going to guide you guys through the armory. And oh boy, is there a lot of armor in the logistics tab already. So we are going to enjoy quite a lot of very intense matches with these units here. So first of all, I'm just gonna go through some of these units quicker or faster than the others. Over here, the first stop that we will be stopping at is the command section here. So we have a standard 5-man squads, but the more interesting things that I'm going to talk about is the transport. So first off, we have a standardized truck, fast on-road, not so much off-road. Then we have a BTR 152, basically the same thing, but with a little bit of armor and a 50 cal on top. I think this is an East German vehicle too. Then we have the Bardelas, which is an interesting vehicle. It actually has a 50 and two 7.62 machine guns, which is good for, I would say, just to put like 200-300 meters away from your command to kind of act like a tripwire recon. But if there is a helicopter flying over this thing, you can actually deal a lot of damage with those 3 machine guns there. Next up, we have the Zelda, basically an M113 with more armor, but less speed off-road and not amphibious compared to the Bardelas. So you gotta really think this through and kind of adjust this to what type of map you're playing, if you want to actually cross the water, that is. Then one of the interesting units in this deck, I just do not, okay, how do you hide info? Here we go. This thing, it is absolutely ugly. It is ugly as shit, but it has a huge amount of armor, actually. Look at that. 8 front armor, 5 side, 4 back, 2 top. This thing is an absolute beast. It looks ugly as shit, but it is a very, very good defensive unit for your command. This is this is one of the new units that is in this nation pack. And speaking of new units, there are more than 35 new units with this nation pack. So they really did a tremendous job with this nation pack alone. And really, I would applaud you guys if it wouldn't mess up the video. Next up, we have another heavily armored vehicle. Here we have the Agzarit. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that. If someone is Israeli or from Israel, let me know how you would pronounce these vehicles. I'm not going to be able to pronounce them right every single video, but yeah. Agzarit has 10 front armor, 6 side, 5 back, 2 top. Definitely a good forced fighting vehicle as well. It has 3 machine guns, so you can actually use this on the battlefield. Or just as a plain recon, defend your command with those 3 machine guns against enemy helis and infantry and whatnot. So definitely good. Now, something very interesting. How many times have you guys had the problem where you were playing a 10v10 or a tactical match? You wanted to get rid of your command because it would just cost too many points for nothing. Well, those days are over with this unit, the Merkava 2A, with a command squad in it. How good is that? So you can drop off your command squad and still have an 18 front armor tank with a very good gun and a Mark 19. How good can it get? This will overpower the Nanion Shikiji that Japan or South Korea, I've kind of forgot which one it is. It will overpower that completely with that gun and those that front arm. That is insane. So just bring one of these, you will have a command and a tank in one. Next up, the final vehicle of the infantry command is the Anafa, basically a Huey. Really not much special, nothing special about that. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna put these guys in my deck, and probably this guy too. For only 10 points, you get a highly powered or armored vehicle. That is just a no-brainer. So next up, I will go through these units a little bit faster than others, but yeah, we're just gonna stop at the more interesting units. So first off, we have a truck, a standardized truck, not an infantry command, obviously, just a vehicle command. Next to that, we have the BTR-40 Pickup, which is basically a BTR-40 with an M2 Browning on top. Good speed on and off-road, not much special about it. We have the M113 with the AC in the front, the air conditioning. Then we have the same vehicle of the infantry command, but without weapons, without any armaments. So it has the same exact ammo armor value, as you can see. Same exact stats in the bottom there with road speed and strength and all that. It just doesn't have any guns. So yeah, there you go. And finally, a tank command. The Merkava 1 Pickup, a 16 front armor. I would say a low AP tank, but low AP tank, but for the price, it's decent. like, it can defend itself against a few things, but I would not really recommend putting this on the front line. But if you had to put something kind of armored there, I would probably go for this guy. But to get a tank in the command section, I would probably go for the Merkava 2A, which is a even better tank for less price. I don't know if they're gonna fix that, make this a transport and this the tank command, but they might. It is still a preview, so who knows. Next up, a heli command. Looks like a Gazelle, very beautiful helicopter. I think this is like Canadian made or something. I'm not quite sure. 400 points. A fob, a command or a supply truck with 800 liters and one of 2,400 liters. I think this is a Hemet of the United States of America. So that was the logistics. A few very interesting units. I'm definitely gonna try this guy out, and probably also put. I'm not quite sure. I would probably put this guy in there. 10 front armor. Hell yeah. I can actually survive a few shots from the front. So next up, the infantry tab, and oh my god, is there a lot of infantry. We're just gonna take it from the top and kind of go through the transports and the units in a organized fashion. So first off, the man pads, kind of, let's see what the differences are. So accuracy is the difference here, the HE power and suppression. Pretty much everything else is the same except for the assault rifle of these guys compared to the Uzi of these. But the Barkons, the man pads with 2275 on helis, good range, good accuracy. Pretty much one-shots non-armored helicopters except for like 24s or something, like Mi-24s, 28s. But pretty much any other transport except for the heavily armored ones like the Mi-8s, it can probably just one-shot those. So good man pads there. They come in the BTR 152, the Bardelas, once again, the M113 with the 3 freaking machine guns on top. The Zelda, oh my god, the M113 with a very cool name, a little bit more armor, but it cannot swim. That's the difference there. So the Bardelas is amphibious, the Zelda isn't. And finally we have the Anafa, which is a Huey. Then we have a slightly, well, we have the Red Eyes, basically, the Israeli variant of the US Red Eyes. I would not really recommend using these, but if you're in a pickle, definitely put them in your deck because you will probably get like 20 of them or something. Again, they come in the BTR 152, the Bardelas, the Zelda, and the Bell 205A. Next up, we have some ATGMs. Holy shit. Look at, excuse my French, that accuracy. Holy crap. Look at it. 65% accuracy. There's no need for going with high veterancy on these guys. Absolutely no need. So we have the Dorban LRs, I guess that's what they're called. 6 missiles each with each squad, 26-25 range, 65% accuracy with 21 AP. That is good. So again, the same transports, the BTR, the Bardelas, the Zelda, and the Anafa, which is the helicopter. But holy, yeah, definitely put these guys in your tank, or in your deck. Next up, we have some light rifleman variants with the M47 Dragon missiles or launchers, 1575 meter range, 35 accuracy, and 10 AP. There's absolutely no need for these guys. Just go with the Dorban LRs. But yeah, I'm just gonna go through all of these units because they're just awesome. So the same thing here, BTR 152, the Bardelas, the Zelda, the Nag-Machan. I'm just gonna call this the Nag. I don't know, the Nagma, the Magmanator. I don't know, the Magmanator. And the Ag-Zaret, which are 2 heavily armored vehicles here as well, with a lot of firepower at their disposal. So good for fire support. Then we have these guys in the tank again, the Merkava 2A. So if you do put these guys in your deck, just put them in the Merkava. These guys are like kind of not really useful anyways with those accuracy and AP values if you also have this guy at your disposal. But if you really want these, probably go for the Merkava. And finally, the same guys in the Bell 205A. So next up, we have some very interesting shock infantry. Let's just look at their loadouts. So the Galil, a 5.56 assault rifle, the RPG 7V, the Galil arm saw. That is an interesting weapon. Looks like an assault rifle, but it's basically a saw. Okay. Lighter LMGs carried by dedicated assault squad. Okay, all right, I got you. So 600 rounds per minute, very good accuracy, suppression HE. And quite a decent range. I would probably not choose these guys over the MG3s, but this is a 15-man shock infantry with good stealth. So definitely put these in your deck if you want something to take down some pesky East Bloc Nation units. 30 points with this transport or with this one. So a new unit, a Hammer, basically a Humvee. Very fast on and off-road, it seems. Then we have the M113, the Bardelas again, the amphibious variant. the Zelda, the non-amphibious, and the Anafa, the helicopter, to transport the Givati. Next up, we have some, I would say, the Israeli variant of the Grnatomet AGS-17s. The Messiah AT with the Mark 19, 30mm frag round, good range on these guys, and they will absolutely chew through infantry out in the open, and also do some damage to non-armored or lightly armored vehicles. So let's look at the vehicles that they got. So get the BTR-152, the Bardalus, the Zelda, Nagmakon, and Asgarit. We already went through all of these units, but still, the amount of armor with these units is insane. 18 front armor on this Merkava 2A. That is good. That is amazing. But yeah, these guys are actually, I'm not really used to using AGS infantry, but I might try these guys out. So we also have some militia, it seems. I did not expect to see militia in the Israeli Nation Pack, but if you do use militia, go for these guys. 50% accuracy on that blind die sight. I'm not quite sure on that goofy AT weapon. And they come in the BTR 150. Actually, no, that's Sack Lamb. Kind of like a different variant of the BTR series, I would say, with a 50 cal on top. So next up, some regular infantry. Pretty much the Israeli variant of the Jaegers, but for a little bit less. They have some battle rifles here, and the LMG, which is a good combination for quickly stunning units and just holding off anything like Spetsnaz for, well, until your better units arrive. And they have the M72 Law, so fast fire and AT with these guys, with these same transports that we already talked about before. So very good standard infantry for 15 points minimum, up to a 90. So you have a wide variety of units you can choose from. Next up, we have the Rovate 19, and I'm just gonna pin these guys for comparison and just look at the differences. So battle rifle, exactly the same. LMG, exactly the same as well, I believe. Let's look at the stats here. Exactly the same as well. So the only difference here is the AT for... Actually, I'm so stupid right now. Okay, there we go. That is... I'm sorry, guys. I'm too excited. So the Rovate 90, M16 instead of FAL, the FN Mag instead of the FAL 0 or FAL O, which does have a better range. They have the higher fire and M72 A4 Law, which is a good sacrifice as well for no points increase. Okay, that is interesting. So forget about these guys. Go for these. That is really good. This is a no-brainer right there. You have better weapons with a better AT. Go for these guys. So also, these guys come in these in the transport that we already named. So the BTR-152, the Bardalus, Zelda, Nagmakon, Asgarit, and the Merkava 2A. That is amazing. Next up, we have some elite troops with SMAs. Well, at least it looks like SMAs, but it isn't. We have the B300, which is a Law. It has an insanely good range with an insanely high accuracy and really, really good AP value on these guys. And oh boy, the hammer is going to be cool to see. Actually, no, which one was that again? There's like... Was it this guy? Oh yeah, that it is. There we go. The CH-158G or something like that. But there was a heavily armored transport somewhere else. I'm gonna have to wait with that one. But yeah, the Shaya Tet 13, AKM, PKM, so very good combination of assault rifles and saws. These guys will stun the shit out of pretty much anything you throw at them. And they have a really good AT weapon as well with 10 rounds per minute. Elite training as well and good stealth. 30 kilometers per hour. So pretty much what you want to take in towns. Let's see, so they come in the trucks, the Humvees, the Anafa, which is a helicopter, and the Yas-ur-Nimrod, which is the West German helicopter, the big beast that you get, with 10 strength. So, oh my god, they actually have ATGMs. Holy crap, they have Nimrod missiles? This thing has 4 2975 meter AT weapons. My god. This thing is amazing. I already love this helicopter. It has 4 28 AP helis. Now, that is insane. That is really insane. Okay, we're gonna continue here. Otherwise, this is just gonna take hours and hours. I bet you guys don't mind. But yeah. Anyways, so the Zan Hanem Let's see. So shock training, good stealth, decent speed. They have a Uzi and FN Mag and RPG 7V, so probably a good town fighting infantry. Yeah, with pretty much a standardized APCs that we already went through, or I should say transports, really. So on the right we have the Zanhenem 95, which is 5 points more expensive than the basic ones, but they have the Kar 15, which is a good assault rifle. They have the FN Mag, exactly the same as the standard Zanhenem loadout in terms of saws, but they get the B300, which is a very good AT launcher already. I can already tell. 70% accuracy and 21 AP, and that range, this is gonna scare people off. This is basically a saw, or not a saw, basically a small without the HE, I would say. Really good AT weapon right there. I'm gonna love using these. So here we have the Num Num, the Dum Dum, with the Gum Gum, the Hammer, which is basically Humvee, and the Anafa. Wow, this is gonna be a long day, guys. Now, next up, the support tab with a few insanely powerful units. So we're gonna go through all of these, including the Mchl, which is a 160mm mortar launcher. Wow. Okay, let's start in the top. First off, we have a 20mm AA piece with dual 20mm, the BTR 152 TCM. Very good range on road, so I would probably recommend using these if you want to really assault this town heavily in the beginning. This thing can take down helis without a problem, if you're close enough at least. So quite interesting unit for only 25 points. Next up, we have the M113 with the Vulcan gun on top. You guys probably know this from the US Army decks, but still a very good unit. Probably go for this if you're playing a mechanized deck. It isn't as fast as this guy on road, but off road it is pretty much the same, and it has very good air detection as well. So and it is amphibious compared to this BTR. And finally, the upgraded variant of the Hovet, the Mchl, which also houses one, better stingers, but a better range on that Vulcan gun for only 20 points more. And it has stabilizers, so you can fire on the go. Plus, it doesn't end ever, does it? With more armor all over the place. Look at that. 3 front, 2 side, 2 back, and 1 top. That is a very good unit. I'm definitely going to enjoy using this thing. Let's continue with the Chaparral, or the Israeli variant of the Chaparral, called the Drakon, with 26-25 meters range. This is the basic Chaparral, by the way, for 40 points, but still a very good unit to just sprinkle around on the battlefield. Next up, we have some mortar pieces, and as I was saying, the Mchl is going to be next, but first we have the Leish, which is the 81mm one, 4900 meters range, good dispersion on that as well. You don't want these guys too accurate, but this guy is definitely has a good dispersion. 3 HE, a little bit on the low side, but it's only 81mm anyways. But probably what I would use this guy for is probably for the suppression, just to stun infantry, not to really finish them off. It's probably not going to be able to do that. The enemy would be, if it micros right, the enemy would be able to dodge these, but I would probably use these for smoke. Definitely going to be the mother of all mortars. 160mm mortar piece. That is basically arty on the front line. Just heavy arty on the front line. 7 rate of fire, not the best, but this is gonna be sick. This is gonna be basically the equivalent of the AMOS without the rate of fire and the dual barrels. This is gonna chew through everything. It does have a 9k range though, so you can pretty much use these as long range artillery as well. 6 HE on that thing. That is really good. All right, now for the more interesting things, the rocket artillery. We're gonna start off with the MAR 240 and go all the way up to the LAR 160, which is an AP, basically a cluster artillery with a huge amount of rockets as well. But first, the MAR 240. So HE rockets, good range. 1 HE only, so it is a little bit on the low side, but good dispersion and good rate of fire. So good for stunning infantry, not so much for killing them. Then we have the MAR 290, which is a ballistic launcher. So if you guys remember the Dutch weapon that they have, the I completely forgot that. Let me actually just quickly jump over to the Dutch and go over to the support tab. So the Dutch have the Lance, which is a 20 HE launcher, but the Israeli now have a launcher that has 4 missiles and with 15 HE. So I would probably go for this compared to the Dutch one. I'm gonna have to test this guy out. And finally, we have the LAR 160, which is a cluster launcher, basically a Smirch, I think with less AP. 4 AP is still powerful enough to take pretty much all tanks down on the battlefield, so definitely put this in your tank, or in your deck if you want, if you don't like enemy tanks. I'm gonna try this guy out as well for only 100 points. That's quite cheap compared to others. Next up, we have some howitzers. This looks like a paladin, basically. A Richhh 21,000 meters range, so basically max range. Good dispersion, and with good I mean a wide dispersion. So if you want to basically just pound the town, probably go for this. Otherwise, you're going to be too accurate, and you're going to have to like shift click and queue up orders in order to hit the town completely. But with this, you can pretty much hit all over the place without having to micro too much. And next up, we have his upgraded daddy, the Doe Hare, with insanely good range as well. Insanely tight dispersion. So for sniping, go for this guy. For dispersion, go for this. And finally, we have some, I don't know what to call these. Basically just landship guns. These basically fire like once in your game, and but if they hit, they basically wreck face. I never really use these, but if you're going support, put in like a few of these in your deck, and you will be able to basically snipe whatever is out there. And finally, it's Big Brother with a better accuracy, better range. Actually, less range, but better accuracy with more HE and suppression. So, yeah, for the same price. Okay, that is weird. They might actually change that up later on, you never know. So we're almost through the support tab. Let's look at the Shanav, which is basically the iHawk. The Israeli variant of the iHawk with 3 missiles, 4,200 meters range, 50 accuracy, good HE as well. And the iHawk Pip, 3,325 meters range, and basically the same stats as the basic iHawk with a little bit more accuracy. And finally, last but not least, the Sholev, which is also kind of like a paladin. Very good range, very good dispersion, very good HE, and it can also fire at ground vehicles or ground units that are close or nearby. Some like well, but they can basically wreck recon as well in the neighborhood. How good is that? Oops, I actually just jumped out. Here we go. Oh, the tanks. This is what I was waiting for personally. So we are going to start off with some upgraded variants of the American series. We have the Mchl 6. I think this is like an upgraded M60. I'm not quite sure. 50% accuracy, 15 AP, 10 rounds per minute. That is a good 55-point tank with 12 front armor. This is gonna be really cool to try out. Armor decks with Israeli Nation. That's gonna be good. So we also have the little bit of an upgrade from that tank. For 15 points extra, you get a better range. So basically max range on tanks with 60% accuracy and 2 more AP. Pretty much everything else is the same. It does have some better optics as well, as you can see, from poor to medium. So it just depends on what you want these tanks for. If you're using them in forest against infantry, probably go for this. If you want to actually fight tanks, probably go for this guy. And then we have the daddy of them all, the Mchl 7C, the Gimel, with better front armor and a slightly better accuracy and stabilizers than the Nanex 6 Bet Gal, the beta, which also has a very insanely looking turret. 17 front armor, ladies and gentlemen, 17 for only 100 points. Well, there are some better tanks with better armor for that amount of points, but still, very good tank. So now the Merkava series. This is what I have personally been waiting for. I'm looking at these units myself for the first time as well. So anyways, yeah. So the Merkava 1 or I'm not quite sure. I think it's Merkava 1. But yeah. So not the max range on the guns, 2100. Very good accuracy though. Very good stabilizers as well. Low AP compared to other tanks, but good front armor. So it kind of depends on what you want to use this tank for. If you were to fight in forest, probably go for this guy. If you want to actually fight tanks, go for the Merkava 2B or higher with 15 AP power compared to just 13 and with a little bit more front armor. And then we have the beasts, the Merkava 3. Oh my god, the 3B. It has the max range gun, 65% accuracy, 60% stabilizer, 20 AP with 10 rounds per minute, and 21 front armor and the Mark 19 on top. I don't know if it can get better. Yes, it can with the Merkava 3D BAZ, which also houses ATGMs with 2,800 meters range, 65% accuracy, and 22 AP, with a gun, a main gun that can fire at max range with 65% accuracy and stabilizer, and 23 AP with 22 front armor. Oh boy. I think I just game-gasmed. Look at that beautiful beast. How cool is this thing? Go for Israeli Armored. I'm gonna definitely make a lot of deck reviews, so definitely stay tuned for that. Next up, that was pretty much all of the heavier tanks, and then we got some lighter ones for fire support. We have the PT-76B. You guys probably know this guy. Very short-range gun. Good for fire support. 10 AP though on that 15-point vehicle. That's quite interesting. Then we have some other vehicles. I'm not quite sure. I think there's like a chieftain. I'm not quite sure what this is. But the Ras-Cal, medium range with the guns. Good for fire support, not so much for fighting tanks. And then we have a slightly better variant of it with better accuracy, AP, and a little bit more front armor. And an M2 Browning instead of a 7.62. So, a lot of things that I talked about already. Well, we're gonna keep going. So recon here, something that I do not use mostly, but I might with these units. I can already tell because they have an M14 as their sniper. I would say a marksman rifle. Look at that range, 1050 range on ground units, basically infantry and light armored vehicles. Because of its 1 HE, can definitely do a lot of damage at 15 rounds per minute. This is a good recon. It actually has very good optics, very good stealth, and it's, yeah, interesting units. So they come in the Humvees and the Num-Nums. They come in the very interesting looking vehicle. What is this? What is it? The Ram Recce or ROCI. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that, but the Ram. This looks like a cool vehicle. Very fast on and off road, and good optics as well, and a small size. So with this, you actually get 2 recon in 1. How about that? You get a good optic vehicle and a very good optic infantry. That is very interesting. And you get these guys in the bells, obviously. Next up, a 60mm light tank. I would say an M113 with a gun on top with a 60% accuracy and 11 AP. Only 60mm, but this could be useful in like close quarter situations if you really need to just take shit down with only 30 points. If you only have 30 points to spare. That looks like a safari truck, but it is a cool safari truck with 3 machine guns on top, an M2 and a 2 7.62s with very good stealth. And the HVMS actually had good stealth, I forgot that. Also amphibious, but this guy has very good stealth, so I would probably use this compared to this one. Well, it kind of depends on what you want to do. Then we have some very interesting recon. The Mchl elite training, 10-man squads, very good stealth, very good optics, 30 kilometers per hour running speed, which is insane. But the most interesting thing about these guys is they have ATGMs. So you have recon ATGMs now. Recon ATGMs. Elite training. If this thing misses with elite training, I'm deleting my life right there. So very interesting units here. You have the SAW and the assault rifles. We already went through all of those vehicles or units and loadouts, but damn, this thing is going to be an absolute beast. So these guys come in the Namer, the Ram Recce or Recce. Also a very good recon unit, so I'll probably go for this. The helicopter and the Nimrod with the 2975 meter range ATGMs. That is insane. That range is insane. Basically a WZ-550 on helis. So the Ram AT, basically a truck, the Ram with the recoilless rifle on top, and the Ram TCM with the 20mm AA guns. And both of these guys are pretty much the same, except this guy actually has very good optics compared to the good optics of this guy. Let's continue with the Siphon, a helicopter, the what is this again? The Gazelle? It's not a Gazelle, is it? I think it's a Gazelle. I'm not quite sure. But very good optics, poor stealth. So I would probably not use this guy if you want to sneak in there. And finally, last but not least, the Tyran 5 Blazer. This thing is gonna just blaze everything away with that 105mm gun. And actually has good stealth as well, which is kind of surprising on tank commands or recon. But for only 30 points, guys. Only 30 points. And that was all of the recon. The Mchl is definitely going to be in my deck. I can already tell. The helicopters, yeah, they're kind of a necessity. And I would probably put one of these guys in there as well. Maybe the Rams. Actually, no. If you just go for this guy, you get the Ram already. So I'll probably go for one of these. Very interesting units. Next up, the vehicles. That is actually a lot of vehicles as well. We're going to start off with the Sherman. You actually have the M51 Shermans in this deck with the Israelis. Look at that. That is cool. So 105mm gun, for 15 points. I can already see T-54 versus M51 Sherman battles. That is cool. So we have the Bardalas, already went through all of these units. So basically your infantry transports, you can already also purchase them in your vehicle tab here. So the Bardalas, the Zelda, only difference is more armor, less speed, and not being amphibious. We have the BTR 152. We have the Chapaz Orav, an ATGM UAZ, I would say. We have a slightly upgraded variant of it on the Humvees with a better accuracy and AP power, so Humvee tows. And we have the Humvee tow 2s here with a 2800 meters range, 60% accuracy and 22 AP. Very, very good ATGM there for 50 points. We also have the M113 variant of the Giraffe regular tow and the I-tow here. And the difference here again is the accuracy and AP power. But there's also a difference in armor of the transports themselves. This is basically the Bardalas, and this one is basically the Zelda that we also talked about, or who we also talked about here, over here, and in the infantry transport tabs. Let's continue here with a very interesting unit as well, the M113 with the N-Law Spike ATGMs, 27, holy balls, 27 AP, 50% accuracy, that range. This is basically the WZ550, guys, but it doesn't stop there. We have the Para, which is the, oh my god, the tank ATGM. I don't know what to think about this guy. It has a gun, but it cannot fire it. Or does it fire it out of this? I'm not quite sure. It is all a preview, by the way, so if you're thinking, yeah, why does it have a freaking turret if it cannot fire? It will probably be added in later. So if this is a 110 point ATGM launcher that uses this turret to fire the ATGMs, I would still probably get it. Look at these stats. But if it is also a quote-unquote tank, it's even better. Then we have the Hammer, basically a UAZ that you can purchase for 10 points. And then we have the Num Nums, and that is pretty much all of the vehicles that you can get. But nope, I lied. So we have the M51 Sherman, and all of the heavier transport you could also get with the infantry, the Nag Machan with the goofy looking exterior, Exerit with the very intensely armored front for 15 points, and the Merkava 2A, which is a very good, very cool vehicle for 80 points as well. And finally, we have the Ram Recce, which is also a recon vehicle, and the Zek Lam, which is basically a variant of the BTR, I believe. So, next up, the helicopters. Not a lot of helicopters, but definitely a few cool looking ones. And we're going to start off with the Anafa, which is the transporter, the Bell 205, which has a machine gun. Both of them have a machine gun, but this one is a little bit more heavily armored than this guy here for some reason. 6 strength compared to 4. Then we have some tow helis, and this one looks like a little bird with some tows, the basic tows, 26-25 range, 10 accuracy and 15 AP. And then we have the little birds with the better ATGMs, the Mapads with 2800 meters, 65 accuracy and 22 AP with 55% stabilizer. So you can basically fire on the move with these guys for 60 points. Then we have the Apache, oh my god, with 16 Hellfire missiles, basically the same that the Dutch have, the H-64 with the 30mm as well. Very good helicopters, one of my favorites for 130 points. Quite expensive, but 16 Hellfires, baby. Let's continue here with some Cobras, the Seva B, 20mm, and a buttload of rockets. And then we have the AA variant with the basic stingers, not the Sidewinders, but basic stingers with 70% accuracy. It's not the Super Cobra, guys, but it is still an AA helicopter for 70 points. And last but not least, the Nimrod, the Yes-Ur Nimrod with 29-75 meters range, 70% accuracy, and 28 AP. Just a floating tank with ATGMs. That is insane. Then we have some very interesting units in the air tab as well. I kind of did go through the air tab, but not really into detail. They do have some planes of their own, which is interesting. First off, we have the Ayat. I kind of completely forgot the regular names of these units, but this one has 2 seed missiles and a 30mm, but that seed actually looks like quite good. 4200 meters range, good accuracy on it as well. AP power is good too, so it can take down those chieftains or challenger marksmen with probably maybe 1 or 2 shots, but it will do it. Good ECM, actually good range, if you want to do one run and fire both missiles. Otherwise, you'll have to circle back. So it kind of depends on what you want to do, and a good turn radius on this thing as well. So very interesting seed unit there. And then we have a way better variant of it with 4,900 meters range. 2 of those missiles, basically the same stats. Actually, no, I'm not. Wow, this is actually the Phantom, guys. I am mistaken. This is a way better plane than this one. But if you want to have the more numbers, I'll probably go for this guy. If you want the more experienced unit, go for this one. And actually have Sparrow missiles as well. 4 Sparrow missiles with insanely good seed missiles with 26 AP, 60 accuracy missiles with actually a very good stabilizer as well. So this is less likely to miss. And good ECM and very good speed. And pretty much everything off this unit is good. 420 points, I'll probably put these guys in there instead of this guy. Then we have some ASFs. We have the Eagle over here with the basic Sparrow missiles and the AIM-9Js. It's not the best plane out there, but we will probably get to an upgrade when we go for this boy over here, which has the Derby AA missiles with 70% accuracy, 7,000 meters range, and with a weird looking or weirdly named close range missile. Look at that. So here we have the Sidewinders, but this one actually has a more or better range on airplanes and a very good accuracy as well. So pretty much everything down here is the same except for the ECM. 10% better will save your life for 65 points. I would probably do it. I would probably go for this guy instead because of that accuracy. The first shot, or the pilot that hits the first shot, usually wins. Let's see what else we got here. We have a Fire and Forget electro-optical missile. So AT actually no, these are HE. Okay, I'm gonna have to try these guys out. So 3,500 meters range on ground, dispersion of 0. So it is basically a perfect shot with 20 HE. I'm gonna have to try this guy out. So basically a Phantom with HE missiles on top. Basically the B5 on steroids. I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna have to check this guy out on the battlefield, so definitely stay tuned for that. Then we have the RAAM, another Eagle with some very interesting loadouts as well. We have some paveways over here. Fire and Forget missiles, the Mark 82 Griffins with 10 HE each, and 3,500 meters range with insane ECM and speed. Okay, put this guy in your deck, no questions asked. Okay, now we're talking. So some very interesting planes here as well. So 10 500 kilogram bombs, so a total of 5,000 kilograms on the battlefield with very good ECM and speed as well. They have the Derzocker 550. I think that's a French gun, I believe. I'm not quite sure. It could be British. I think it's actually, I think it's French. I might be mistaken. And it has the Python 3 missiles as well, which are Fire and Forget. Now we're talking. So some F-16s. It has the Tall 2 cluster bombs, 6 450 kilogram bombs. So I am enjoying this a lot. I am seeing a lot of good stuff with a lot of good weapons on top. A very insanely good loadout, good armored vehicles. The Israeli pack is going to be a formidable pack for you guys to try out on the battlefield. So 2 Sidewinders, 20mm Vulcan, but this thing, the cluster bomber, is going to rain hell, literally and figuratively speaking, on the enemies with those 6 450 kilogram bombs. 7 AP. 7 AP, guys. Remember that one. Remember the nets. You're gonna see this on the battlefield or above the battlefield a lot. Then we have the Barack Obama with the 4 Mavericks over here. 50% accuracy, 26 AP. Basically the same loadout as the other planes with the same stats down here, as you can see. With a slightly better missiles, air-to-air missiles. And finally, the Barack Obama 2, which is basically an ASF variant of it as well. The F-16 with 50% accuracy and 1,000 kilometers per hour range, or a speed, with the Derpy missiles, 70% accuracy, and the Python 4 close range AA missiles. I think these guys are going to be good on the battlefield in dogfights in general. The last piece of this Israeli Nation pack is going to be quite fun as well. First off, we have a cheap ASF with 2 air-to-air missiles with the 30mm twin Defa gun. We have the Nesher A, basically the same thing with rockets, 70mm rockets. We have one that drops napalm, and we have one that drops a huge bomb here with 23 HE. for 125 points. It might be a little bit of a risk since it only has 20% ECM, but yeah, it is fast, so you might get out. Might. This guy actually has 10, and this one is 10 as well. I would probably not use any of these, maybe except for the Napalmer, but we'll have to see. So in the Naval tab, probably nothing new. Let me just go through it. Nope. Yeah, it is. That was pretty much it, guys. That was pretty much it. So this is going to be a ton of fun. I'm going to build a deck. I will be doing a few deck reviews, and I will be making some specialized decks, some armor decks, some mechanized, motorized, support, you name it. I will make all of them and showcase them to you guys because you guys are just awesome. Thank you for all the support. Keep it up, and I will see you guys back in the next one. Take care.